Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Live Q&A with Tom Vasel. We do it almost every Monday at noon. I hope you've been having a very good day, good week. We're in February. I know that there's a bit of a February doldrums. Some of you may have stayed up late to watch the Super Bowl if you're American, and so you're tired today, or whatever it might be. I know Mondays aren't easy for everybody. That's one of the reasons I do my Q&A Monday. Hopefully I can bring a little bit of cheer to you all. Man, this is a super busy week for me. I don't know. One of the things that I'm learning here is that when we add all these new video series and things that we're going to do on the Dice Tower, that's fantastic, but it does take up more time. So like I said, we're not going to, I said this earlier, but it's still the truth. We're not going to be able to do all these series simultaneously. We're going to do them in spurts or add them in different ways of all the different things that we're doing. But hey, and actually tomorrow I'm reviewing an old game, but with my kids, Scotland Yard. But don't worry, plenty of new games on the way to be reviewed this week and lots of different shows. Hopefully you can join us for those. This is a Q&A, where you can ask questions and I will try to answer them. I don't answer every question. In fact, if you're like, ooh, I have a juicy question, hey, I'm not going to touch it. But questions about pretty much anything, and I'll pick and choose and answer as many as I can within an hour. So let's get started here. I saw someone already said, I have nothing else to do in there. That's why they were here. I see people saying hello, which hello back at you, but I don't have any questions here. So let me see if I got any. If you were rooting for, okay, people are talking about the Super Bowl. I've never cared about the Super Bowl. It's always been really hyped up, really big. I'm just not a huge American football fan. I actually like football itself as a sport. I find it fascinating, interesting. It's just that professional sports aren't as exciting to me. But I always, nowadays, I feel like I need to be clear when I say that I do not have anything negative against people who do really like it. If you love it, that's fantastic. It's just not something I enjoy as much. Do you have any concerns with Vasel Family Reviews skewing ratings? You previously said Seal of Excellence was limited and seemed surprised when your daughter gave one the other day. Yeah, you know what? I don't care. My kids can give any rating they want, and if they skew a little high, so be it. They're also reviewing one game a week, and it's a game we play together, and if they really like it, want to give the Seal of Excellence, I'm going to let them do that. I'm not going to tell them to reduce their numbers just because it is higher. You know what? They're going to be higher with their games probably. They're newer to the hobby and they're going to like games, but I'm not going to penalize them for that. I don't think at the end of the day it's that big of a deal, really. I know the Seal of Excellence is something that means excellent, but if my kids liked it and it was excellent for them, then I think people should know that. Now, when a company uses the Seal of Excellence because one of my kids gave it to them, I'm going to tell them because I think they're going to think that's pretty cool, but they don't even really know about that aspect of the industry. So it's not really they're not trying to do anything here. They're just giving you their honest opinions. What's the difference between Kickstarter and Indiegogo? One of them's successful. Indiegogo does okay. Indiegogo, there are some differences. Indiegogo, when you back a project in Indiegogo, they charge you right then and there. Indiegogo has a lot of campaigns that the company gets you your money. In fact, most campaigns, the company gets your money whether the project succeeds or not. And Indiegogo also does in-demand stuff. They pick up a lot of Kickstarter projects after they're done, and they almost act as a pledge manager for a project later on. There's other differences, but those are the main ones I can think of. How was Sleeping Gods? Well, I played it a lot this weekend. I played it with Roy and Chris. And then I took it home and played it with my daughters over the weekend. I want to say we played 3.5 to 4 hours of it. We basically played 1/3 of a full game. It says on the box like games are 1 to 20 hours. I'm actually not sure why it says 1. But it's like a long game. But you can pause it. And at the 1/3 mark, we felt like that was a really good time to pause it. So we'll go back and finish it at some point. I don't know when. Every time we do this, they're like, are we going to finish it? Because we don't always finish all our games. I'm like, yeah, I know. But we'll, what my thoughts and feelings on it and everything, well, you'll just have to wait. Because I'm still formulating them, even after having played it this long. Am I enjoying WandaVision? Yes, I am. And I'll be as spoiler-free as possible, but I will say that episode 5 had my biggest... I stood up off the couch in shock at something they did, because they definitely surprised me. I knew where a surprise was coming. I was like, very obvious. And then it went a direction I did not expect, and I was super excited and immediately called one of my friends, and we talked about it for an hour, and me and my daughter were very excited about it, and that's pretty much all I can say. But it was very exciting. I'm really looking forward to the next episode. Have you tried out Bloodborne yet? No, it's on our list to play. We have a ton of games, of big, giant, cool new games to play, and that's one of them. It didn't make the table yet, and it's not one I can play with my kids, I don't think. So, for those new to the hobby, can you briefly explain what a 4X game is? Yes, a 4X game is essentially a civilization building game, usually. They're not always, but usually. Civilization, Sid Meier's Civilization for the computer in them. In them, you have expand, that's growing your empire, or whatever it is, growing bigger. Exploit is usually like getting resources and stuff. Exterminate, there's often fighting somebody else, and explore, expand, exterminate, and every single time. Why I cannot remember. Don't bother telling me because I'm looking it up right now. Explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. Oh, explore. Explore is growing and going out and finding things. Expand is kind of like technology. Expand would be technology. And then exploit and exterminate. That's what 4X means. A good entry game into the genre, it all depends. There's so many out there. I don't even know what my favorite is. I'd have to sit and do a top 10 of that someday. Do you think the new Seven Wonders printing will move it to the top 100 of the people and any of you at Dice Tower? Traditionally, a new printing, where it's like a new look to a game, hasn't done that with other games. Like, we didn't see the 10th anniversary edition of Ticket to Ride didn't suddenly shoot it up the ratings, and the printing of Catan didn't shoot that up. So I don't know. I mean, people like it or don't. I don't know that the new printing is going to change people's minds. I'm sure some people will play it who've never played it before, but that's about it. Should I make my own print and play of Magical Athlete, or will anyone reprint it soon? I don't know what to tell you. I don't know, actually, at this point in time. What are my thoughts on the new Stonemaier announcement? Well, if you ever want to know what my thoughts are about new stuff, we talk about this on our live board game breakfast on Thursday, where we talk about the news. That being said, I don't have any particular thoughts on the matter, except I'm currently reading through the book, Red Rising. I had already gotten it. I read like a chapter, and I was not really that drawn into it, but I'm reading it now. I've really got caught up into it. I'll have it done by next week. Other than that, I'll just wait to see. I'm of a wait-and-see aspect with the game announcement. Are there any good football board games? First and Goal is my favorite, actually. It uses fake football teams because that's a lot cheaper to do. But the actual game itself doesn't come with teams, but you can buy expansion teams. And it simply is, you have some cards. We both play a card, offensive, defensive play, flip them, and then it tells you how many dice the offensive player rolls, and then they see how many yards they move. If you add the expansion teams in, they have different dice per each team. I like it. It's simple and easy and fun. Get rid of expansion boxes or keep them. I want to get rid of them for space, but worried it would affect resale value. Yeah, that's kind of a thing that you have to decide for yourself. If you're not planning to resell them, then why would you keep them? But if you are planning to resell them, then why are you keeping it? You know what I mean? To me, it's kind of a catch-22. Most people don't plan on reselling their games. Sometimes it just happens. And then if I do that, I personally wouldn't care if I bought the game with the expansions in. But I don't know. I don't think that the possibility that you might get a few dollars more on a resale is worth wasting space in your house. Although some expansions might be better kept in a box because mixing with the main game can be problematic. What's the most difficult top 10 list you remember composing? There was one we did recently that was really hard, but I forget what it was. I don't remember, but I remember recently we did one, and I was like, oh, wow, it was tough. I barely got 10 games. What was it? When will the reviews for After the Empires and Sleeping Gods be posted? Will either or both of them be 4 squares? Sleeping Gods will be a 4 squares review. After the Empire will be a solo review by me, and it's going up this week. Looking forward to Canvas. That will likely go up next week. Not sure. It's possible to share your top 100 list. Well, I believe it's listed on our website. You can get it there. If you're talking about an Excel document, you might email me and I might share it with you. I have an Excel document that has all my top games in it, I think, somewhere. No. Greetings from Lehigh Valley. If you missed that Allentown snow, I don't. I got a yard full that I'd be happy to ship some to you. That's okay. Thank you. If Cosmic Encounter was to get a new publisher, who would you want that publisher to be? What would a new edition include? That's interesting. I'm happy with Fantasy Flight's version a lot. We've said recently that Fantasy Flight's new stuff isn't as exciting as it used to be, and that's true. But they did, in my opinion, a definitive version of Cosmic Encounter. Could it be improved? Probably. But I don't know what I would want from a definitive version. I think I wouldn't have minded if the original game came with 6 players in the box, but it's not that big of a deal. I'm happy with it. But if I had to have someone reprint it, it's too complex, or I would say kids table board games, because their production values are amazing. I'm afraid to say a company here because then the other companies I don't mention would get upset. I don't know. There's a lot of good companies, a lot of Kickstarter companies. They make a pretty cool Kickstarter, don't you think? Can we see a picture of the cat adopted by the Dice Tower? Oh, I posted one on Facebook quite a bit ago, actually. So you can see it there. I don't know that I have any other pictures of the cat. I don't normally take pictures of the cat. How many Button Shy Wallet games have you reviewed? Not many. I've played about 6 now. I played the top 3 that are Circle of the Wagons, Sprawlopolis, and Tussie Mussy. And of those, Sprawlopolis is my favorite. And I played a few other ones that I wasn't super keen on, and I'm sure there's quite a few more that are probably pretty good. Do you ever have plans to ever reprint Nothing Personal as a deluxe edition? Well, I mean, it was pretty deluxe to begin with. I don't think so. I think Nothing Personal is out there. Also, I signed the rights to Nothing Personal to GameSleuth / Steve Avery, so they can do with it what they will. It's okay. I had a great lark with it, so we'll see what they do with it in the future. Is there any hope of a viral expansion? Yes, there's one that's been designed and put together. I thought it might come out this year, but don't hold me to that. Did you used to do tours and visits at the Dice Tower Studios in the time before? Well, we had people come in, but it was never something that was, quote, open to the public. Not that we're going to get a lot of people stopping through here anyway, since we're down at the very, very bottom of America. But, yeah, I don't know that we want people tramping through all the time because we're actually trying to get things done. But people have come by here before. We're not, like, hiding it. I'm heading to Florida for vacation next week. We're stopping for a day in the Everglades. I'm looking to have lunch at Everglades Gator Grill. I have not been there. I know where it is. I keep saying to my wife, we're going to go there someday, and we just never have, so I don't know. If you're But if you're stopping for a day in the Everglades, that's what I would recommend at this point in time, because I don't know anything else that's in the Everglades. But if you're going to go to the Keys, which ain't too far away, I got plenty of places down there. Party game to be used for older people who are new to hobby games, just one. Straight up. I would use that over Masterword anytime. Masterword's a fine game, but just one, easily. Do you ever have any slower days at the Dice Tower when you can catch up on smaller things, or is there always a lot of work that needs to be done every day? There's very few of them. We will work really hard like we did last week. Last Wednesday, we worked really hard Monday through Thursday, so that on Friday we could play some games. And even then, we'd be playing a game where Roy would be like, I'm going back, edit a video, then come back and play the game. And then even then on Saturday, I had Friday night and Saturday, I caught up on emails and things. There was a lot of work to be done there. So there's not a ton of downtime. We don't kill ourselves here. I don't want you to feel like I'm working these guys at a bone with a whip. And we sit around and we talk and we do things, but we definitely don't have many downtime days. It's partially my fault. I have a very strict schedule of these videos that are going up every day, which I assume you all like. Is the pausing like Seventh Continent? I'm assuming you're talking about Sleeping Gods. Yes, it has some similarities to that. What game can I produce for you next? Which mechanism themes are you craving? I think I'm looking for a cool story game that has some straightforward mechanisms and doesn't get bogged down in the details. That just straight, like Seventh Continent has a lot of mechanisms in it. I would like a game like that, or like Tainted Grail, or like Etherfields, that was mostly the story with some very straightforward mechanisms, but was not caught up in those. That's a lot of story, though, to write. That may not be what you're looking for. A top 10 dice placement games, that will be in the future at some point, but I don't know when. Have you tried any of the Hot Ones sauces? Which ones are those? The Hot Ones sauces. Oh, is that show? These are the official Hot Ones sauces. No, I don't think so. No, I don't think I've had any of these, actually. You know, how much pain do you go for your hot sauce without sacrificing flavor? Not nearly as much. My hot sauces have gotten considerably weaker over the years. Occasionally, I want some heat, but I like heat, right? But I don't like tons of heat. I found a very, in my opinion, I don't know where my opinion of mild is compared to most people, but for me, a fairly mild sauce that I got in at a place near here called Robert Is Here. It's a fruit stand, and they make their own hot sauces, and that's the one I use in everything. But I mean, I get other ones. Z gave me a nice little sampler hot sauce. They're like little tiny hot sauces for my birthday last year, and so I've been going through those. Those are spicier. And then I have a whole pile of hot sauces, but I don't even get the ones that are like, this will burn your mouth out. I'm like, sure, great, but not for me. So. I watched your live stream when you, Z, and Sam played Black Rose Wars the other day, but I didn't find a review. You know, we never got a review copy of it, actually. And I emailed them, and they said they would send me one, and then they didn't, and I just didn't get around to doing it. We actually have a copy in the Dice Tower library that I think we got ourselves somehow. And I guess I could pull that out and review it at some point. I just never did. That's one of those things. But I would give it an 8 out of 10, I think, at this point. I like it a lot. There's a few fiddly pieces in it, and there's a lot going on in it, but I love the concept. It might get an 8.5, but it's somewhere in there, 8 or 8.5. Are you happy that deluxe editions of out-of-print games are being reprinted? Is it worth the cost in the end? I'm torn on this one. So a good example would be Rococo, which was a very good game, a strong game about, playing action cards and sewing dresses. I liked the game a lot. Was that huge deluxe version worth it? It's cool, but it's the only way to get Rococo, and that's problematic because it's so big. And I'm a little afraid that some reprints of games are going to price some people out of ever playing them because you can only get them in a big redone version. We'll see if this trend continues or not. Hello, Tom. The games that get a bad review package video were they usually played more than once, specifically was Cedars of Exodus played more than once? I'll be really clear on that. No. And that's why it doesn't get a full review. Sometimes they might get played more than once. I mean, that's very possible. In fact, probably some of them are. Cedars of Exodus you're asking about. And I know. I didn't play it right. I didn't do this, whatever. But the first play of it was very frustrating. And I sat down. I always do this with games I don't like. I pull them out and I walk through the game with the rule book to see what I've missed, what I might not have gotten, if something went wrong and everything. And it just isn't my jam at all. There's very easily one person can get cut out of a round, and that's frustrating for that person. But there is so many keywords and so many things to check that we just didn't find it to be very enjoyable. If you love it, though, which sounds possible because usually people don't ask me these questions without saying they like the game a lot, that's fantastic. It just didn't do anything for me. I know the game already existed for a while. I found that out afterwards. The WizKids production of it is really nice, although pretty small printing. And that's a big deal these days. The cards are like this big, and the printing's really small on them, so it's hard to read them. And very, very take-thatty. Very take-thatty. So those things combined to be something I didn't enjoy, to the point where I didn't want to go back and keep playing it to do a full big review. Because at this point in the career, I can't do that for every game. I can't do big full reviews of every game. So a lot of them get shuffled off into these reviews, which I also like to be very clear. I'm not the authority. You may love them. So fantastic. The designer already came into the YouTube video and very clearly laid out that I'm just bad at the game. So maybe he's right, and therefore the game's fantastic. It's possible. How replayable is Sleeping Gods? Like an evil game or more like a campaign game? I don't know what evil means. An evil game. It's a campaign. It's an open world game. And I think it's very replayable. Because we have done parts of 2 maps. I think there's like 8 or 9 maps in the book. We've done part of 2 maps. We've missed a ton of the other stuff on those maps. On both those 2 maps that we were on. There's stuff we haven't looked at on those maps. There's things that we didn't do and see and go back to. So like a 20-hour game, I'm pretty sure you can go back in and do a 20-hour game and have 0 crossover content other than some events that happen type thing. But for the most part, the adventures you do. I feel, I'm just guessing, like you could do that on the 3rd time and again, completely different content. Maybe even a 4th time, again with completely new content. And then if you had the expansion in, guaranteed a 4th, 5th time. So there is a lot of content. And if you get 100 hours out of a game, then if you complain about the price, I can't please you at this point. Will there be a Valentine's Day themed werewolf game this weekend? I don't know if I'm going to run a werewolf game this weekend. Like I said, I'm really slammed, so I might need to catch up on things. Ito Deluxe Master Set. I like Ito, but I did not get the Master Set. I have not seen it, so I don't know anything about it. Yes, the Forex discussions remind me of the board game terms explained videos. Have you thought about doing more of them? I have. Unfortunately, I just basically committed to doing like 7 different new video series, so I need to get those done first and get going on them. Tom, I can't think of a review where you said card quality was great. So what game has really great card quality? Oh, lots of them. I apologize if I don't say that. When the cards have linen finish, almost always am I really happy with the cards. Really great quality cards. In fact, the quality of the cards in Cedars, which we just talked about, has really great quality. Lots of games. If there's linen finish around the cards and the cards don't nick very much, I'm always very happy with the card quality. How would you recommend learning to play Twilight Imperium? I don't know if for 3rd edition, someone did like a step-by-step PDF document that walked you through it. It was amazing. I don't know if that exists for 4th edition, but I would go to the forums and ask there on Board Game Geek, and probably the fans there can point you to a video or something, because I'm sure it's out there. I'm going to say right now, I know a lot of people are asking me questions about things that they really were dying for me to answer on, but I'm not prepared to answer those questions right now. And I probably wouldn't do some of these questions you all are asking me on an off-the-cuff moment like my Q&As are to be. Sometimes I get serious and thoughtful in my Q&As, and I'm okay with that, but some things require much more thought and nuance than that. When do you normally determine if you'll review a game, before or after you play it? Usually before, all right? I'm like, oh, I'm going to play this game, I'm going to review it. But not always. You know, some games, maybe I'll play a game with Z, and Z really likes it, and I don't think it's good at all. I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's just the two of us. You review it. You like it. I don't. Any Valentine's Day plans? Yes. I plan to do nothing. So there's a couple reasons for that. So before you drag me over to coals for not being a romantic person. First of all, me and my wife deliberately don't do anything on Valentine's Day, like go out to eat, because everyone else does and the restaurants are booked like crazy, and it's just not worth it. So if we're going to celebrate it, we do it on a different day. It's easier to do. Secondly, the Valentine's thing itself is very commercialized, and I don't mean to come off on this holier than thou, well, I don't celebrate Valentine's Day, because it's commercialized. You celebrate, I don't care. That's fine. But I don't feel like I need to. Now, will I? Yeah, probably in some ways. But usually I let my wife treat me on Valentine's Day. And you say, why would you do that? Because we picked up the Korean tradition. In Korea on Valentine's Day, the girl treats the guy. And in March 14th, called White Day for whatever reason. I don't know why. The husband treats, there is a reason, but I can't remember what it is. The guy treats the girl. And then on April 14th, Black Day, that's named, I know that one's called Black Day because it's named after the black jajang noodles and then supposedly everyone who didn't get anything on the other two 14ths eats together. Now that's a bunch of supposed stuff, but that's not a real holiday, the April 14th thing. But the February 14th and March 14th definitely are that way. It's one side on February 14th and one side on March 14th. So we've followed that tradition to some degree. Not super strongly because we haven't been in Korea now for a decade, but yeah. What's your favorite hat from a movie? Well, I mean, iconically, Indiana Jones, I've always liked his fedora, like a lot. I'm sure there's other hats. Do you have any plans to design more games? I don't have any strong plans to design games, but I do think about it occasionally. I thought of a really cool idea that then kind of eluded my grasp. The other day I don't know where I was just sitting there thinking about designing games. Will I do it again? Well, never say never, because then I'll have to make a movie. But I don't plan to, is the strongest I'll say. I'm really happy playing other people's games. I have not read any of the Dwarves books, sorry. Are you excited about the Waste Knight 2nd edition? I don't know about Tainted Grail or Aetherfields, but the writing is up there with this War of Mine, I think. It's interesting. Oh, so much stuff in that box, so much writing. I'm telling you, folks, I don't know how many of these games I can handle. I love these big story games that they exist, but it's harder to get excited when there's like 8 of them to play at any given point in time. And then people are like, how comes you haven't finished Gloomhaven and Sleeping Gods and Tainted Grail and Ether Fields and what's this new game you just said? Waste Nights and the next game and the next game. You're like, oh, who has time to finish all of them? Not reviewers. What will happen to the Dice Tower when you retire? I'll have some sort of plan in motion. It's not happening anytime soon. I don't know if the Dice Tower will be relevant in 20 years, which seems like a good retiring age. What, 64, 65? I doubt I'll retire then anyway. So you got 2 decades more of me. Of course, things might change. Stuff could always possibly change. And, I don't know what will happen. I would like to keep doing this because I really do enjoy it. Do you know any other designer apart from Kvatel, who successfully has used humor in the rules? There's been a few people, but usually when someone uses humor in the rules, I'm like, I get it, just tell me the game. Have you ever played a game with a location setting that convinced you to actually visit that place? Ooh. No, but I will say that playing Scotland Yard, I just reviewed it, that's why it's in my mind, when I was a kid made me want to go to London because it looked really cool. It made me want to go there, and eventually I did go there. Not because of that game per se, but that's what put London in my head. When will the next Jack Vasel Memorial Fund auction be held? Soon, but I don't know when, and I'm really sorry. I should know that. They've been talking about it in our group, but I don't remember. Do you like the Aquatica expansion? I hope to, but I haven't played it yet. But it looks really cool. I mean, I know what's in it mostly and stuff, but I haven't played it completely. We'll be talking, that's like really high on the docket to play. Does the Dice Tower Review Hammer have a name? It does not, but it feels like we should name it, right? Tom, your 5 more great games, are you starting with 350 to 346 or 101 to 105? I'm starting with 101 to 105 because it's just easier that way, so that way when I stop, I'm caught up. Do you think publishers should reprint instructions with expansion data, text added in the original rulebook, or having 2 books open at the same time going back and forth? Oh, man. If there's a way for me to give your expansion an extra point, do that. However, I do realize that that's very pricey to reprint the whole rule book, especially when there's only one small sheet of rules. But whoo, that would be cool. Some companies have done that, but it's a rarity, and it's because of price. Tom, when will you post a review for Unlock Mythic Adventures? Next week. We just played the last one Saturday. What determines which games get 4 squares reviews? Is it just 4 folks having interest in reviewing the game? Something like that. But also we need a game that 4 different people have played. So it's not, we're all playing different games. Like me and Z don't cross too much in games. When we cross in a game, it's usually a deliberate decision for us to do so because we're just playing different games. So that's how that comes to be. Roxley producing Cosmic Encounter? Yeah, that's a good choice too. I agree. What's a good legacy game to start off with that's not too hard? The 2 easiest legacy games that I can think of are My City, which came out last year, and Machikoro. Those are fast, simple, and easy to get into. Then after that, the next tier would probably be Pandemic Season 1, Risk Legacy, maybe Clanked, and then the more involved ones, Rise for Queensdale, Charterstone, things like that. I want to see the entire extended list of the People's Choice. I believe I only did it up to 250 maybe. I mean, I have the entire list, but I have to take that data. It's like a rough data thing, and I manually entered it in to the different games. So I think I put it in the document up to 250, and that's mostly just for purposes of use for next year to see if the games go up or down. So is the Dice Tower Library just a way of getting around you and your wife's agreement on how many board games you are allowed to keep? I think I remember you agreed to keep Lego 300. That didn't really, my wife has never really got on my case about how many games I had. I mean, sometimes you might say, wow, you have a lot of games, but not really. That was my call because I don't like keeping tons of stuff. I'm not a big fan of having clutter all over the place. I just, yesterday in my office at home, I was like, that's it. And I went in there and I followed every wire in my home office and said which of these wires is here because I unplugged a thing and I was too lazy to pull the wire out and there's too many wires. That stuff bothers me. So I will always condense. That's my opinion. So it was all me who did that. And so the library is not a way around it. It is a very cold thing, but the library wouldn't be that way because I wouldn't keep a lot of games that are in the library. I don't like many of them, but I put them in there because I know other people do. Can we see a picture of Fuzzy? I don't know if I have one of those on my computer either. I don't mostly put pictures on my computer. Most of my pictures are on my phone, and I don't download them to my computer for whatever reason. I probably should at some point. Because when I look at pictures, I tend to look at them on my phone. The new iOS that they did several months ago, that just shows you memories and shows you pictures in the past, I really like it. It's constantly making me look at pictures that I took, and it always reminds me to take some more pictures. It'll be like, here's a picture of your kids. And I'm like, I should take a picture of my kids now so I can remember this in a few years. Yes, you answered your own question here, Eric. But he asked, why didn't Kemet Blood and Sand make my top 10? Is it because you consider a second edition of an existing game? Yes. And it's not even a second edition. From what I understand, it's more like a 1.5 edition, which is fine. And I'm very pumped about it. But I want to talk about new games. I could have done a top 10 probably of reprints of games that I'm interested in too. Don't worry. I'm going to talk about Kemet when it comes out. Let's see here. Going through. Boy, I'm really behind on questions, I guess, because I'm getting answers from questions I did at the very beginning of the podcast, I think. Let me see here. We're actually staying in Key Largo for a week, plenty at Hobos and Fish House. I'd also recommend the Lazy Lobster. Really delicious place. It's almost directly across the street from the Fish House, where it's really close. And just get anything made lazy style. It's really good. Is it true that you will be getting a tattoo of your Dice Tower character? I haven't 100% decided on that. I'm going to either get my Dice Tower character or the Dice Tower logo. One of those two. We're going to wait on this a little bit. We're going to wait till things clear up a little. I suppose we could find a tattoo person now. When I say we, I mean Roy. But we rather wait because we want to record it and stuff. So wait till it's safer, which it looks like it's going to happen later on in the year. So we're thinking we'll wait to that point just because it would be a little bit easier for us to do and record. What happened to your glasses? Oh, well, has it been 5 years now that I've had LASIK? I had LASIK surgery done. Unfortunately, I really need glasses now, and it's the opposite. I was nearsighted, so I couldn't see things far away. So I got these, and now I can see things far away, and now I'm farsighted because I have a hard time reading anything like closer than here, which is driving me nuts. So I'm just gonna have to go to. It's because of the coronavirus makes going to the doctor for non-essential things, which needing glasses for reading is not as essential as other things. And it's just kind of like, can I wait a little bit, wait a little bit, wait a little bit? You know, can I hit that guy at Walmart? Except I almost never go to Walmart. But, you know, something like that. I'll get them done soon. What do you do with your overripe bananas in the kitchen? I have children. There is no such thing as overripe bananas in the kitchen. Do you think the ability of app-driven games to bring in new players outweighs the complaining of the purists? I don't. I believe the fun I have by myself, one person, outweighs the complaining of the purists. I don't care if people don't want to play them. If I'm still enjoying them, having a great time, what does it matter? I mean, again, this is kind of the thing about the Super Bowl. I could sit there and go, football's stupid. But me complaining about it isn't going to, and hopefully shouldn't, affect other people's enjoyment about it. They can have a great time. So that's if someone wants to sit there and go, I don't want apps in my game, that's perfectly acceptable. I disagree with your philosophy strongly, actually. But if you don't want to play a game with an app in, that's fine. But I'm still going to, and I'm still going to have a great time. Do you know what our most watched video ever is? Yes, it's the top 10 games every gamer should have, or something along that. That's our top 2 videos, the one we made and then the reprint. And then I believe top 10 games for the classroom is number 3. Top 10 games make the top list of all our most watched videos. Does your desk computer have 2 monitors? My work computer has 1 monitor. My one at home has 2. Restoration Games has a lot planned for the Unmatched series. Do you fear that the releases could become greatly unbalanced with earlier sets? No, I just assume that companies nowadays take that into account. What happened to the Hallertown playthrough and upload? I thought we played it. Didn't we play it live, me and Mike? I thought we did. It should be on our YouTube thing somewhere. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm looking for questions that I don't normally answer. Some questions I might not answer because I've answered them before. How much Korean do you remember from your years there? Not much. And do you get a chance to speak the language? Very rarely. Are Christmas lights as mood lights tacky? No, I love Christmas lights. My son uses Christmas lights year-round in his room. He loves them, and I think it's great. I like Christmas lights. I wish we celebrated more holidays with lights. You know, we only do it with Christmas, but I wish there was. I know some people use lights at Halloween, not many, but some people do. But I like Easter lights and 4th of July lights and just decorate your house. I don't know. I like that sort of thing. But I will say that seeing lit houses, because it's only done for Christmas, makes me feel very Christmassy. You know, speaking of tacky, you know, me and my wife were talking about this the other day because we put up, I don't know, like 5 more pictures. My daughter is in college for graphic design, and she's drawn a few pictures that I thought were fantastic. She drew a picture of my son. She drew a picture of some animal. I forget what it was. And they were great. So we put them up on the wall. We also got some caricatures done of some of the kids. We put those up and a few other pictures. And my daughter just sent me the pictures from her wedding. So I'm going to probably frame a few of those and put those up on our walls too. And the kids are like, nothing matches. You just got pictures everywhere. And I was like, yeah, that's part of getting older. And I just don't care. I don't want, and again, if you have a house like this, I'm not criticizing it, but it's not for me. That very nice, beautiful house that everything matches. I like having walls full of pictures that bring me memories or just that look cool to look at. And so the tackiness of whatever, that don't bother me. Do I like it? Then it's not tacky. Tacky is, you know, people say all the time, my outfits are tacky. I guess they are, right? You know, whatever. They're tacky to you, but I like them. So I don't care if it's considered tacky by most of the people. I think there is ways you can be tacky in life. Weird Al Yankovic does a whole song on it. But how you dress, I don't think is necessarily one of those. I have been reading Red Rising. The twists are so stressful. Well, I'm a little more than halfway through the first book. It's interesting, and I'm really curious where it's going to end up. I want it to be on a dice tower, but I also don't want to review because I only want to play games I think are fun. If I don't have fun, I never want to touch it again. Well, that's very reasonable. And yeah, I agree on that actually. But nah, I don't mind playing games I don't like. It's really weird to explain. I just like to experience something new. Even if I sit there and go, this is terrible, I still go home that night having a good day. Now, this past Saturday, all the games I played were good at worst. Some of them were fantastic. And that just feels good. And I said to someone I played with, I said, remember this, because there will come that day where we all only play bad games. I enjoyed your review of Howard. Have you played it anymore since recording the review? And I'm wondering if your opinion has changed. So since Thursday. No. That's when I recorded the review, was Thursday. So no. I can't keep up. I will go back and play games I've reviewed, but I'm busy reviewing the next ones. Evil means exit. Yeah, but I don't remember what the question was now. You said there was a hidden movement game coming out you were really excited about. Was it Sniper Elite? It is Sniper Elite. I really like that. That's why it was in my top 10 anticipated games for 2021. How do you choose who gets segments in Board Game Breakfast? Well, I mean, I just talk to different people. If I like what they've done, sometimes I find them, sometimes they email me. And when someone emails me, I usually tell them to send me an audition segment, and I look at it. But I'm looking for something that feels different than everybody else, because there's a lot of people who are going to do the same thing. And so something that feels different, someone who feels different, whatever that means, it's whatever strikes my fancy, feels different and has a different voice, because I want it to be as many different voices as possible. I never thought the Dice Tower is the voice of Tom Vasel. Some people take it that way. It comes across that way often. I definitely run the show here and do a lot of things. But just because I say a game's bad or good doesn't mean that other people think it's bad or good. And so the more different voices, the better we will be, the stronger we'll be. And so to that end, I try to do that. And then how I pick them, I don't really pick them. We get them in as which one goes in which one, and I usually just put them up in episodes in the order I get them in. Have you ever worn a bolo tie? I have not. Do you like your birthstone? I don't really care about my birthstone. What is it? It's September. Is that a sapphire? Emerald? I don't know. Whatever. Is there a birthstone you ever wished was yours? I don't know. Ruby? I don't know. Noodles, rice, pasta, or bread? Probably rice is my favorite of those. Is voting in gaming more fun in theory or in practice? Depends what you're voting on. If you're voting on another player, I'm not sure. If it's like an election style game, those are usually pretty fun. How do you feel about playing evil characters in games like the Harkonnen and Dune? This is like an answer to, I could spend an hour on this one. It's a tough one. As it is, I can separate myself out, and it's just a made-up thing for me. Now, that's a little bit different when you're playing a real-world situation, like a war game or something. But in something like Dune, I don't care because they're not. I'm the bad guys, and if I lose, I'm like, well, the bad guys lost. If I do win, in my mind, I'm like, ha, 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 I won, and next week the good guys defeat me. Something to that effect. You mentioned that there are games that do real-time dice mechanisms better than Fuse. Sure. This is one of those times where I'm caught off guard in the sense that I don't remember what they are. Like I like Project Elite better than Fuse, although it's a bigger game. The sequel to Fuse from that same company I like better, about the hospital. And there's actually quite a few games like this. There's actually the other hospital one I really like, Rush Hospital, which I like a lot. But this would require more thought. Maybe, did I do a top 10 real-time games? I think I did. Look for that. Do you keep grid paper notebooks in the office? Yes. March 14th is Pi Day. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I have been celebrating Pi Day for a while. I've been celebrating Pi Day every year, actually. What's your favorite office stationery item you use that's not high tech? Oh, notebooks. I have notebooks everywhere. I love notebooks. I'm always using notebooks. After that, clipboards. Clipboards are fantastic. Clipboards and notebooks. I love them. You only make a movie when you say never again. Yeah, you're right. Besides money, how can you help the Dice Tower? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Tell your friends about it when it comes up. I'm not asking people to go out and spam it. Thumb up videos you like, or thumb them down if you don't like them, I guess. But thumbing videos and posting comments on them. And if you have a person on the Dice Tower, not me, but if there's someone on Dice Tower who you really like what they do, send them an encouraging note. It's a really big deal. A lot of people on the internet get a lot of negative stuff all the time. For me, I always say, it rolls off me. You know, like I knew when I did that 8 negative review thing, which just went up on Sunday, I think, or Saturday, I'm going to get a lot of negative stuff from that, from maybe the designers of the games, from just various people in the industry who love those games. People send me negative stuff, and I say, it rolls off my back. And it usually does, but it doesn't always, and sometimes I'm like, oof. So kind email, certainly when I read those, I'm like, that makes me feel great. But I get more of those than other people do. A lot of people who work in the Dice Tower do not get those. So if you think of someone on the Dice Tower or your favorite content creator, show, whatever, and you like what they do, send them a quick message. Tell them you like it. That's a big deal to them. It really is, because they know that someone out there appreciates what you did. I'm really bad at this. This is something that I have to work on, where I know I'm supposed to say thank you when someone does something for me, but to go out of your way to say, hey, you did a good job there, is not something I naturally think of sometimes. I'm like, oh, they know I like it. Not always. Affirmation's a big deal. Have you gone back and replayed Charterstone? Well, technically I did, because I played it as a live app thing on the channel here. Let me see. I'm talking about it. There's a lot of different questions here. Let's see here. Did I ever get any cards back from Sneaky Cards? I got one a few months ago. So if you don't know what Sneaky Cards are, they're cards with QR codes on them. And then you can give them to somebody or various people based on doing something, meeting someone, whatever it is. They all have different things. And then they're supposed to scan those QR codes, and and then you can follow your cards around the world. I actually haven't looked at that in a long time. The problem I had with that is I showed some of my cards on the screen, and then people scanned that screen and acted like I gave them the card. I was like, oh, okay, that's not what I meant to happen. But yeah, that was a fun idea. I just never really kept track with it, which is one of the problems with that idea, is because they aren't kept track of. So a long time ago, somebody did a Meeple Goes Around the World, where the Meeple was sent from person to person, and wherever you were, you took pictures of it where you were. It came to Korea to me. And I sat on that Meeple for a bit. I forgot I had it, and I was like, oh, I need to send it off. And I did. but I'm pretty sure the meeple was replaced at various points because it just gets lost. Those kind of things, there's usually a break in the chain, and it's not necessarily a negative thing. It's that people forget. It's the same reason people steal books from each other all the time. Not because they're jerks and book kleptomaniacs, but because you forget you borrowed a book from someone. You're like, oh, I need to return that to so-and-so, and you forget. Until it's been in your shelf so long, you think it's yours. Scythe has a complete rule book now, so that's one example. Sure, but that didn't come in the expansion. That was something you had to buy separately. I did buy it because that's pretty cool. Tattoo thoughts. Well, I mean, I wouldn't have put it on the list if I wasn't going to do it, willing to do it. I haven't really thought about it. There's been so many other things taking my time. I'm sure right now I'm like, yeah. I'm sure that like right before it happens, I'll go, why did I say yes? But that's just because I'm a wimp and I don't even want to be pinched, you know. But that's the extent of it. The top 100 analysis video is really cool. Any plans to make that webpage public for people to browse? Well, that's Alex from Board Game Co. That's his decision to make. Oh, Rex had a super chat. Thank you. Are either Raz Arcana or Abyss strong enough to replace Splendor in regular group play? Maybe, but the games really aren't anything like each other at all. So they're all good games. I like all three of them, but I wouldn't say any one of them is better than the rest. Alrighty. Well, Adventure Tactics Domineers Tower, okay for ages 9 to 10? Maybe. My 11-year-old is playing it with me, but she's also a little more savvy. I'm not saying she's smart, but I play a lot of games with her. And so I'm helping her a lot in the game. So I don't know if it works for 9 to 10. Every age is different. Alrighty, folks. Well, I know it's only 57, but like I said, and I'm not joking, I have quite a few things to do. But tomorrow we're going to be here. We're going to be playing Centurion in the morning. So we'll be doing a live gameplay of that as a sequel to The Duke from Catalyst Games. We're then going to be back at 2 doing 5 more great games as I go through my top 100 games of all time, or top 350 games of all time. And then I'm going to be doing, Shoots and Marbles at 3. You don't want to miss that. Lots of fun. Me and Mike racing marbles down the marble ramp. So all that stuff is coming. Thank you for everybody who asked questions. Sorry if I didn't get to yours. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you all, well, tomorrow morning probably. And we got other videos going up, different reviews going up throughout the week, of course, some more even going up today. Take care, everybody. I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching The Dice Tower.